The day was quiet, but the silence felt wrong. Above Earth, the stars did not shine with peace. They seemed to watch, waiting for something. In the orbit of the planet, ships of steel floated. Alien ships, massive and full of power. Their weapons were strong enough to burn cities in a single strike. The people of Earth knew the danger. For months, they had watched these invaders take control of other worlds. Planets with stronger technology had fallen. Civilizations that had survived for thousands of years had been broken in just days. The aliens called themselves the Vrak. They saw humans as weak, unimportant, and ready to be conquered like all the rest. But humans were not like the others. On the ground, cities were full of fear, but there was also fire in the hearts of the people. Soldiers were preparing weapons, engineers were building defenses, and scientists worked day and night in hidden labs. They knew they did not have the strongest ships or the deadliest guns. What they had was something else, something the aliens could never understand. The Vrak commander, a tall creature with silver armor, stood on the bridge of his flagship. His voice was calm but full of pride. "The humans will break," he said. "They always do. Their weapons are weak, their ships are slow. They will surrender." But even as he spoke, the humans were making a choice. They would not kneel. They would not beg. They would fight, no matter the cost. In an underground base, Captain Elias stood before his team. His face was tired, his uniform stained, but his eyes burned with determination. Around him, men and women listened. Some were young, some old, but all of them shared the same fire. "We are not fighting for glory," Elias said, his voice firm. "We are fighting for our homes, for our families, for our very right to exist. The Vrak believe we are weak. They believe fear will break us. But they are wrong. We are human. And we will show them what that means." A quiet murmur spread through the room, then grew louder. Every soldier, every engineer, every pilot repeated the same word, human. It was more than a word. It was a promise. High above, the alien fleet prepared to strike. Thousands of ships lined up, their weapons glowing. The commander gave the order. "Begin the assault." Bright beams of energy cut through the night sky, striking Earth's defense satellites. Explosions filled the darkness. To the aliens, it was the beginning of the end. But on Earth, it was the beginning of something else. Missiles launched from hidden silos. Fighter jets roared into the air, small compared to the alien warships but fast and full of courage. A single squadron of human pilots charged straight at the massive fleet. One of them, Lieutenant Kara, gripped the controls of her jet. Her heart raced, but she did not turn away. She spoke into her comms, her voice steady. "Remember, they think we are afraid. Let's show them fear belongs to them." Her squadron dived into the alien fire, weaving between beams of deadly energy. Several jets were destroyed in seconds, but the others kept going, faster, closer, refusing to fall back. The aliens did not understand. No other race had attacked them like this before. Small, fragile ships throwing themselves against impossible odds. Inside the Vrak flagship, alarms rang. The commander frowned. Why do they resist so fiercely? Why do they throw away their lives? He could not understand. To him, survival meant power, control, and fear. He did not know that to humans, survival also meant sacrifice, courage, and standing together. One human missile struck an alien cruiser. The explosion tore through its shields, breaking its armor. It was not enough to win, not yet. But it was enough to show something the aliens had never seen before. The humans could hurt them. Cheers erupted in the human command center as the screen lit up with the burning alien ship. For the first time, the people of Earth saw hope. They had drawn blood from a giant. Captain Elias clenched his fist. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "They will learn who we are. They will learn that humans do not break." The battle raged on, fire and light filling the sky. Every second was chaos, ships exploding, lives lost, screams echoing in the void. But through the storm, one truth was clear: humanity would not go quietly into the night. And far away, in the deep silence of space, other civilizations watched. They had seen the Vrak crush world after world. They had seen no one stand against them. But now, for the first time, they saw something different. They saw humans fighting back. They saw humans refusing to kneel. And the stars themselves seemed to grow silent, as if holding their breath. For this was the day humans showed their true strength. The sky was no longer blue. It burned with fire and smoke. Across Earth, people looked up and saw the war above them. The alien ships filled the heavens like a storm of steel, their weapons flashing brighter than lightning. Every strike shook the ground, every explosion made children cry and buildings fall. But the humans did not run. They fought. In the control room deep inside a mountain bunker, Captain Elias stood in front of the main screen. His uniform was torn, his face dirty, but his voice was strong. "Status report," he demanded. A young officer answered, her hands shaking as she read the data. "Satellite defenses are down in sectors 5 through 9. Civilian losses. Too many to count. But sir, our pilots are still holding. They refuse to fall back." Elias closed his eyes for a second, then nodded. "Good. Every second we hold, every ship we damage, it matters." Above them, Lieutenant Kara and her squadron flew through chaos. Alien lasers cut across the sky, hunting them like wolves. Her jet shook with each close hit, alarms screaming in her ears. But her voice was calm when she spoke. "Stay tight, stay sharp. If you die, die fighting." Her squadron laughed, even in the face of death. It was not the laugh of people ready to surrender. It was the laugh of humans who had accepted the impossible and still chose to fight. An alien cruiser locked on to Kara's jet. The weapon charged, glowing brighter and brighter. She saw it coming, and instead of dodging, she turned her plane straight toward it. Her missile systems screamed a lock. She fired. The cruiser's gun fired at the same moment. A beam of energy shot across the sky, but Kara's missile hit first. The alien ship exploded into a ball of fire, breaking apart in the air. Kara's jet was caught in the shockwave. For a moment, her cockpit filled with smoke and sparks. Then her voice came back over the radio. "Still alive," she said, coughing. "Still fighting." On the alien flagship, the commander slammed his clawed hand against the control panel. "Impossible," he roared. "Their weapons are primitive. Their ships are fragile. Why do they not break?" His second officer, a smaller creature with nervous eyes, spoke quietly. "Commander, perhaps it is not their weapons. Perhaps it is them." The commander turned, his eyes burning with fury. "They are weak. They must be weak. No species resists the Vrak." But in his heart, for the first time, there was doubt. Far below, in the streets of shattered cities, ordinary people were fighting too. Not soldiers, not pilots, just farmers, mechanics, students, mothers, fathers. They threw stones at alien machines, they built traps in broken alleys, they carried the wounded through fire. Every small act of defiance sent the same message: we will not kneel. A group of children hid in the ruins of a school. Above them, alien drones scanned the ground with red eyes. Just as the drones prepared to fire, a group of human resistance fighters burst from the shadows, armed with nothing but rifles and homemade explosives. They attacked with fury, destroying the drones in flashes of light. The leader of the fighters shouted to the children, "Run! Live! Tell the world that we fight for you." Even the smallest battles carried meaning. Every destroyed drone, every downed ship, every survivor pulled from rubble, it all told the same story. In the command center, Captain Elias received news from the front lines. "We've slowed them, sir. They aren't advancing as fast as they planned." Elias gave a grim smile. "Good. Then they are learning. Let them learn fear." But the battle was not without cost. Every hour, more pilots were lost. More cities burned. More lives ended. Humanity was bleeding, but they bled with their heads held high. Above Earth, The Vrak commander paced the deck. "This world should have fallen already," he growled. "Why do they keep fighting? Do they not know they are doomed?" His second officer looked out at the battlefield. "Perhaps, Commander, they fight because they know they are doomed. And because of that, they are stronger than any enemy we have faced." The commander snarled, but deep inside, the words struck like a blade. At that same moment, in the human bunker, Captain Elias received a secret message from a scientist working in the hidden labs. The scientist's face appeared on the screen, pale but smiling. "Captain," he said, "we have something. A weapon, not finished yet, not tested, but if it works, it could change everything." Elias leaned closer. "What kind of weapon?" The scientist hesitated, then whispered, "One that can turn their own power against them." The captain's eyes narrowed. "How long?" "Hours. Maybe less. Hold the line until then." Elias turned to his soldiers. His voice was steady, but heavy with the weight of what was coming. "You heard him. We just need to hold. No matter the cost. No matter what it takes. Humanity must endure long enough to strike back." The soldiers cheered, tired but unbroken. And above, the war continued. Fire, smoke, and death filled the skies. The Vrak thought they were watching the fall of Earth. But what they were really seeing was the rise of something far greater. For in every burning city, in every wounded fighter, in every last breath of resistance, humanity's true strength was awakening. And the stars, watching from the cold silence of space, seemed to lean closer, waiting to see what would come next. The war had turned the skies into fire. Every night was lit by falling ships, human and alien alike. Cities burned, seas boiled, and the earth shook with the weight of destruction. But in the middle of this storm, hope was quietly being built. In a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of an abandoned city, scientists worked without rest. Machines hummed, sparks flew, and wires glowed with dangerous energy. The weapon they were building was not like anything Earth had ever made before. It was dangerous, unstable, and untested. But it was also the only chance. Dr. Wren, the lead scientist, wiped sweat from his forehead. His hands trembled as he adjusted the final settings. Around him, his team moved quickly, every second precious. "This is it," Wren whispered. "If we succeed, humanity has a future. If we fail..." He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew the answer. Far away, in the mountain command bunker, Captain Elias received the latest updates. He stood over the table, maps and screens glowing with red marks showing enemy positions. Each hour, the red spread further. Earth was bleeding. An officer approached with grim news. "Sir, 3 more cities have fallen. Civilian losses are..." He stopped, his voice cracking. Elias placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Do not count the dead. Count the living. Every minute we fight, we give them a chance. That is all that matters." Above the planet, the Vrak commander stood on the bridge of his flagship. He watched Earth with cold, calculating eyes. The humans had resisted longer than expected, but to him, resistance was useless. "They fight like insects clinging to life," he said. "But soon they will break. No species can resist the Vrak forever." His second officer shifted uneasily. "Commander, permission to speak freely." "Speak," the commander growled. "They do not fight like insects. They fight like something else. They do not fear death. They use it as a weapon." The commander's eyes narrowed. He would not admit it, but the words haunted him. No race had ever forced him to think twice before. On the battlefield, Lieutenant Kara and the last of her squadron soared through smoke-filled skies. Her jet was damaged, one wing scarred by fire, but she kept flying. Her voice came through the radio, steady as stone. "They may outnumber us. They may outgun us. But remember this, they cannot outfight us if we refuse to stop." Her pilots responded with tired but fierce voices. "For Earth. For humanity." Together, they dove into the enemy fleet again, missiles streaking, guns blazing. Every alien ship they damaged bought time for Dr. Wren and his team below. In the lab, the weapon was nearly ready. It was not a missile, not a bomb, not a gun. It was something far stranger, an energy core designed to feed on the aliens' own power. Their shields, their weapons, their engines, it could turn them all into fuel for destruction. But there was a problem. The weapon needed to be delivered directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. Someone would have to carry it. Someone would have to fly into the middle of the storm and give their life to unleash it. Dr. Wren knew it. Captain Elias knew it. Every soldier who heard about it knew it. And none of them hesitated. When Elias received the call, he stood in silence for a long moment. Then he spoke to his soldiers. This weapon is dangerous. It could destroy them. It could also destroy us. But it is our only chance. We need a pilot brave enough to deliver it. Before he could finish, a familiar voice crackled over the radio. "Captain, I'll do it," said Lieutenant Kara. Her jet was already half broken, her body exhausted, but her voice carried no fear. "If this is what it takes, then I'll be the one." Elias closed his eyes. He had seen many warriors die, but Kara's courage struck him deep. "You understand what this means?" he asked quietly. "I understand," she said. "If we do nothing, Earth dies. If I fall, humanity still stands." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then every voice in the bunker, every soldier, every engineer, every operator, began to chant her name. Kara, Kara, Kara. On the alien flagship, the commander prepared his final strike. "Bring all weapons online," he ordered. "End this now." Thousands of alien guns turned toward Earth, ready to fire the killing blow. And deep below the ground, Dr. Wren handed the weapon to Kara's squad. The core glowed with dangerous light, humming like a heart ready to burst. He whispered, "May humanity's strength fly with you." Kara strapped the weapon into her jet. Her hands shook, not with fear, but with the weight of history. She knew this was not just her fight. She was carrying the hope of an entire world. She launched into the sky, her damaged jet roaring into the firestorm above. Every human eye turned upward, watching her climb into the heavens. And somewhere in the vast silence of space, unseen civilizations watched too. They saw a single fragile jet, carrying a weapon of hope, flying straight into the jaws of death. The stars seemed to hold their breath. The moment had come. The sky was fire and steel. Alien beams cut across the heavens, burning everything in their path. Human jets fell one by one, smoking trails marking their graves. But through the chaos, one jet flew higher, faster, straighter, Lieutenant Kara's. Her jet rattled, its engines screaming from damage. The weapon in its cargo hold glowed brighter with every second, a dangerous pulse that shook the cockpit. Kara's face was pale, but her eyes were hard as stone. She gripped the controls tighter, pushing forward. In the bunker below, Captain Elias stood before the screen, watching her climb. Every eye in the command center was locked on her small, blinking signal. The room was silent except for the steady beep of her jet's tracker. "Godspeed, Kara," Elias whispered. Above, in the alien flagship, alarms began to ring. The VRAC commander narrowed his eyes at the sight of the lone human jet cutting through his fleet. "One ship," he scoffed. "Do they think a single pilot can change their fate?" But his second officer leaned forward, unease in his voice. "Commander, that energy reading, it is unlike anything we have seen." The commander growled. "Destroy her. Now." Dozens of alien fighters broke formation and swarmed toward Kara. Their weapons lit the dark sky, chasing her with streaks of deadly light. Kara twisted her jet through the fire, weaving between blasts that could kill her in an instant. Her voice crackled over the comms. "If they want me, they'll have to earn it." Missiles launched from her jet, striking two alien fighters in quick flashes of flame. She dove through the debris, engines screaming, the weapon pulsing brighter behind her. But there were too many. More ships closed in, their beams slicing closer and closer. A blast tore across her wing, sending the jet into a violent spin. Kara gritted her teeth, fighting the controls. "Not yet," she growled. "Not until I reach them." In the bunker, the screen shook with red alerts. Officers cried out. "She's hit. She won't make it." But Elias slammed his fist on the table. "She will. She has to." The alien commander watched the battle with cold amusement. "End this, now. Crush her before she reaches us." Yet despite his order, Kara kept climbing. Every second she lived was a miracle. Every move she made was impossible. And still, she pushed forward. Her voice came again over the comms, steady and calm despite the chaos. "Captain Elias, if I don't make it, tell them humanity never stopped fighting." The bunker went silent. Soldiers clenched their fists, tears burning their eyes. Elias pressed the radio, his voice heavy but strong. "No, Kara. You will make it. You are not alone. All of humanity flies with you." The alien commander growled as he watched her jet cut closer. "Why does she not stop? Why does she not fear death?" His second officer whispered, almost to himself, "Because she is human." The commander's eyes flared with anger. "Enough. Bring the flagship's main cannon online. I will end her myself." The massive weapon began to charge, its light brighter than the sun. The beam would erase Kara in a single strike. But just as it locked onto her jet, something unexpected happened. The weapon in Kara's hold pulsed violently, as if it could feel the alien power aimed at it. Alarms screamed in her cockpit. The glow filled the jet, blinding her eyes. Dr. Wren's warning echoed in her mind, "The core will feed on their energy. But once it begins, there is no turning back." Kara gritted her teeth. "Then let's feed it." She pushed her jet straight toward the flagship, heading directly into the cannon's fire. In the bunker, Elias shouted, "She's going for it. She's going all the way." The alien commander raised his arm. "Fire!" The cannon unleashed a blinding beam of energy. It roared across the void, a river of light that could melt a mountain. The jet disappeared inside it, swallowed whole. For a heartbeat, the humans watching below thought she was gone. The signal on the screen flickered, then vanished. The room fell silent. Soldiers bowed their heads, despair crashing over them. But then, something strange happened. The alien beam, bright and powerful, began to twist. The light bent, folding back on itself. The cannon's energy shook violently, its glow no longer controlled. Sparks tore across the alien flagship. The VRAC commander stared in shock. "What is this?" The second officer's voice shook. "The weapon. It is feeding on us." The flagship's cannon exploded in a brilliant wave of fire. The energy ripped across the ship, tearing through its shields, its armor, its very core. The blast spread outward, jumping from ship to ship, a chain reaction of destruction. In the skies above Earth, the impossible happened. The mighty VRAC fleet began to fall. One ship after another burst into flame, their power turned against them. And in the bunker, the dead silence broke into cries of hope. Soldiers shouted, screamed, wept. Elias slammed his hand on the table, his voice shaking. "She did it. Kara did it." But deep inside, his heart ached. For no one knew if Kara had survived the blast. Her signal was gone, her jet lost in the storm. High above, the stars lit with fire as the alien fleet broke apart. And the galaxy, watching from the dark, saw something they had never seen before, a single fragile world bringing giants to their knees. Humanity had struck back. But the question remained, what had become of Kara? The sky was quiet again, but it was not the peace of safety. It was the silence after fire, the silence after death. Pieces of alien ships burned as they fell through Earth's atmosphere, turning into streaks of light across the night. People in ruined cities looked up and saw what seemed like falling stars, but these were not wishes. These were the broken remains of giants. Humanity had done the impossible. They had struck down the VRAC fleet. But victory came with a heavy price. In the mountain bunker, soldiers stood in stunned silence, staring at the screens that now showed only wreckage where once the alien fleet had been. Slowly, the silence turned into cheers. Some shouted, some cried, some hugged each other. After weeks of fear, after endless death, they had won a battle no one believed possible. Captain Elias did not cheer. He stood still, his eyes locked on the empty spot where Kara's signal had vanished. His heart was torn between pride and grief. An officer approached him, voice unsteady. "Sir, we checked all channels. There's no sign of her." No response. Elias closed his eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he whispered, "She gave us this victory. She gave Earth a future." Around him, the soldiers grew quiet again, realizing the truth. Kara, the pilot who had carried humanity's hope into the fire, was gone. But while Earth mourned and celebrated, the galaxy was watching. On distant worlds, in secret chambers and hidden stations, leaders and commanders of other species saw the images. They saw the mighty Vrak, who had crushed countless civilizations, fall to a species the galaxy had barely noticed before. They saw fragile humans, with weak weapons and broken ships, stand against an empire and win. Whispers spread across the stars. The humans destroyed a fleet? Impossible. No world has ever done that. What kind of species are they? On a frozen moon far from Earth, a council of alien leaders gathered in silence. They had once feared the Vrak more than death itself. But now their eyes turned toward Earth. They resisted, one leader said. They bled, but they did not kneel. They have something no other race has, another whispered. Something even the Vrak could not break. The word spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans. Back on Earth, the celebrations filled the ruined streets. People lit fires, sang songs, and embraced each other. For the first time, they felt not just fear, but pride. They had survived the storm. They had made the stars notice them. But Captain Elias remained restless. He could not stop thinking of Kara. He walked alone to the observation deck of the bunker, where he could see the night sky. The stars burned brighter now, filled with the wreckage of the Vrak fleet. "Was this your victory, Kara?" he whispered. "Or your grave?" He did not know that at that very moment, far above Earth, among the drifting debris of the battle, something stirred. Inside the shattered remains of her jet, Lieutenant Kara coughed weakly. Her cockpit was broken, her controls dead, but she was alive. The weapon's explosion had thrown her ship clear of the worst of the blast. Barely breathing, half-conscious, she floated in the darkness of space, surrounded by fire and wreckage. Her radio crackled with static. She tried to speak, but her voice was only a whisper. "Elias, humanity, we're not done yet." Then the signal died again. No one on Earth heard her. To them, she was gone. But the stars still carried her forward, hidden in silence. And in the ruins of the Vrak fleet, one alien ship remained. Damaged, burning, but not destroyed. Inside, the commander of the Vrak stood in fury. His fleet was gone, his pride shattered, but his eyes burned with hate. "They think they have won," he growled. "They think this is the end. But it is not. Humanity will pay. I will bring the full wrath of the Vrak Empire upon them." His second officer said nothing. Deep inside, he was not sure if the commander was right. For the first time, he wondered if the Vrak had met a species they could not break. On Earth, Captain Elias gave a speech to his soldiers, his voice echoing across the bunker. "Today, we proved something the galaxy will never forget. We proved that humanity will not bow. We proved that even when faced with giants, we will fight until our last breath. This is not the end of our war. It is only the beginning. The Vrak will return. But so will we. Stronger, fiercer, united. And when the stars look upon us again, they will not see weakness. They will see strength." The soldiers cheered, their voices shaking the walls. But behind the cheers, everyone knew the truth. The war was far from over. And somewhere in the darkness of space, A single jet drifted among the wreckage, carrying a wounded pilot who had become more than human. Kara was alive, but her fate was uncertain. The stars seemed to whisper her name. And across the galaxy, civilizations waited, watched, and wondered. Who were these humans? And what would they do next? The wreckage of the battle drifted like a graveyard in the dark. Alien steel burned as it tumbled through silence, broken engines glowing like dying stars. Among the ruins, a single small jet floated, barely holding together. Inside it, Lieutenant Kara clung to life. Her cockpit was cracked, her oxygen low. Every breath was a struggle. Her hands were cut, her suit torn, but her eyes remained open. She had seen the impossible, an empire fall, and now she refused to close them. Her radio was dead, her jet powerless. She stared out into the endless black and whispered, "If this is where I die, then let it be here, among the stars we fought for." But Earth had not forgotten her. In the mountain bunker, Captain Elias stared at the screens, unable to rest. Reports of victory poured in, yet his heart was heavy. Kara's name was written in silence. Officially, she was missing in action. Unofficially, many had already mourned her. But Elias refused. "She's not gone," he said, his voice sharp. "Not until I see proof. Begin the search." An officer hesitated. "Sir, the wreckage field is massive. Radiation levels are dangerous. We don't even know if her jet survived." Elias slammed his fist on the table. "Then we will search anyway. She carried humanity's hope into battle. We owe her more than prayers." And so the rescue began. Human ships, battered and scarred, pushed into the wreckage fields above Earth. Pilots with tired eyes scanned the endless dark, looking for one fragile signal among the ruins of giants. Far away, in the shadows of space, the galaxy still whispered. News of Earth's victory spread faster than fire. Worlds once silent under Vrak rule dared to speak again. Some spoke with hope. Others spoke with fear. On one hidden world, a council of alien leaders debated. "The humans destroyed a fleet," one said. "If they rise, they could break the balance of power." "They are dangerous," another warned. "They fight without reason, without fear. We must prepare for them." But one voice, calm and wise, answered, "No. They fight not for conquest, but for survival. And that makes them stronger than any empire." The galaxy was divided. Some saw humans as saviors, others as a threat more dangerous than the Vrak. Back among the wreckage, Kara's vision blurred. She drifted in and out of consciousness, memories flashing before her. Her squadron laughing. Elias's orders. The cheering of soldiers. And the moment the weapon had exploded, turning night into fire. Her hand moved weakly to the controls, but nothing answered. The jet was dead. She was alone. Then, through the haze of darkness, she saw it, lights moving in the distance. For a moment, she thought it was the Vrak, come to finish her. But the lights blinked in a familiar pattern. Human ships. Her lips parted, barely forming words. "Here. I'm here." On the bridge of one search vessel, a pilot shouted, "Captain, I've got something." Faint life signs. The crew rushed to confirm. It was weak, almost gone, but it was there. "Send the signal to command," the pilot cried. "We've found her." When Elias received the message, he closed his eyes in relief for the first time in days. His voice trembled as he gave the order. "Bring her home." Hours later, Kara was pulled from the wreckage, unconscious but alive. Her body was broken, but her spirit burned on. Medics rushed her to safety, whispering her name like a prayer. When Elias saw her, lying pale but breathing, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it, Kara. You showed them who we are. Now rest. The fight isn't over yet." And indeed, the fight was far from over. In the ruins of his shattered flagship, the Vrak commander stood in silence. His fleet was destroyed, his pride broken, but his eyes were not defeated. He raised his clawed hand and swore, "This is not the end. This is only the beginning. Humanity will pay. I will return with the full power of the Empire. And then we will see if they can still stand. His vow carried across the stars like a shadow, a promise of war yet to come. On Earth, while people cheered their first true victory, Elias and his soldiers knew the truth. This was not the end of humanity's struggle. It was the first chapter of a much greater war. Kara slept, her dreams filled with fire and stars. She had survived the impossible once. She would be needed again. And the galaxy, now watching Earth with new eyes, wondered, would the humans rise as protectors or as conquerors? The stars no longer watched in silence. They whispered, restless, waiting for the next move. Because the day humans showed their true strength was not the day the war ended. It was the day the real war began. The Earth was scarred, but it still stood. Cities lay in ruins, oceans smoked from fire, and countless lives had been lost. Yet the people of Earth walked with their heads high. For the first time in history, they had not only survived an alien invasion, they had defeated it. In the great bunker beneath the mountains, Captain Elias stood before a crowd of soldiers, engineers, and survivors. His voice carried through the halls, steady and strong. We faced giants, he said. We faced weapons that could burn the sky. And still, we stood. Humanity has shown the stars that we are not prey. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are human. And we are ready for whatever comes next. The room shook with cheers. But even as they celebrated, they knew this was not the end. Because far away, in the cold silence of deep space, the Vrak Empire was gathering. The commander who had survived the battle stood before the high council of his people. His body burned, but his pride unbroken. His voice echoed in their great chamber. The humans destroyed my fleet. They humiliated us before the galaxy. I demand vengeance. Give me the full might of the Empire, and I will crush them until their planet is ash. The council muttered among themselves. Never before had a single world defied them so completely. Some were enraged. Others were afraid. At last, the High Leader rose, his eyes like cold fire. You will have your war. Gather the fleets. The humans will learn the price of defiance. And so, the shadow of vengeance began to spread across the stars. Back on Earth, Kara awoke for the first time since her rescue. She was weak, her body wrapped in bandages, her voice barely a whisper. But when she opened her eyes, she saw Elias standing beside her. You survived, he said softly. You saved us all. Kara tried to smile. Did we win? Elias nodded. We won the battle. But the war is not over. Her eyes hardened. Even broken, her spirit burned. Then I'll be ready. Word of Kara's survival spread quickly. To the people of Earth, she was no longer just a pilot. She was a symbol, the face of defiance, the warrior who had carried humanity's hope into the fire and returned. Children spoke her name. Soldiers painted her emblem on their armor. Across the galaxy, her story was whispered as a legend. And humanity itself was changing. For centuries, Earth had been divided, nations against nations, people against people. But after the battle, there was no longer them. There was only us. Humanity stood united, not as countries, but as one world. Scientists worked side by side with soldiers, repairing what was lost and building what was needed. Engineers studied the wreckage of alien ships, learning faster than ever before. For every weapon the Vrak had used against them, humans began building something stronger. In the skies, the first human warships were born. Not jets, not fragile shuttles, but great ships forged from courage and necessity. Ships that could fight in the void where the Vrak once ruled. Captain Elias watched their construction with pride and fear. We are becoming something new, he said quietly to Kara one night. We are no longer just survivors. We are becoming a force the galaxy must reckon with. Kara, still weak but recovering, stared out at the stars. Then let them reckon with us, she whispered. Meanwhile, across distant worlds, Alien civilizations who had once bowed to the wreck now turned their eyes to Earth. Some reached out in secret, offering alliance. Others plotted in silence, fearing the humans might one day become conquerors themselves. The galaxy was shifting, and humanity was at its center. And somewhere beyond the stars, the wrack fleets gathered like a storm. The commander stood at the bridge of his new flagship, a ship larger and stronger than the one Kara had destroyed. He looked out into the endless dark, his voice dripping with hatred. "Enjoy your victory, humans. It will be your last." But even as his words spread across the Empire, a different truth echoed across the stars, spoken not with fear, but with awe. The humans fought the wrack. And the humans won. On Earth, Kara walked slowly through a recovery ward, her body still healing but her spirit unshaken. Children saluted her, soldiers bowed, and elders whispered her name with respect. She looked up at the night sky, where the wreckage of the enemy fleet still glimmered among the stars. She whispered to herself, "We are ready now. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." And for the first time, the galaxy was not laughing at humanity. It was watching, it was waiting, some with hope, others with fear. Because the day humans showed their true strength had not been their end. It had only been their beginning.